We are live. We are live. We got a special guest here with Sergeant Horror on Mad Monster, my favorite producer of coffee, Mr. David Ellefson.
How are you? There it is, right there. May you roast in peace, my friend.
Hey, don't drink. My thing is don't drink that too late in the day because you're gonna stay up. That's some good coffee, David.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, it does pretty good. Yeah, and especially that one. That's our dark roast. That was what we actually launched the company with, Roast in Peace. We spread it out from there. We went to Rock and Rose, which is our lighter roast. We've got some kind of medium darks, like we roast some coffee for the band Autograph. There's just kind of a medium Italian. Me and Frank Bello have our Altitudes and Attitudes roast over there. That's also kind of a medium Italian. Now we've got some darker stuff. We just rolled out the Combat Napalm in the morning. That one's
I want to see what napalm in the morning's like.
That's good. That's dark. Yeah, that's mostly some French and a little bit of, I think, some French. I think we put some Ethiopian or something in there. So but it's mostly French. So yeah, that's pretty good, man. That'll get you up. That'll create napalm in the morning for sure.
Hey, we got Misty Mills watches. She says hi, Mr. Ellison.
Hey, Misty, how are you? People checking in.
They said you're their favorite. Jeremiah says you're my favorite bass player.
Jeremiah looks like he's really young, like 2 years old, I think, in that picture. Unless must be his daughter.
must be. Now, a lot of people, when they hear your name, they think Megadeth, but you're involved in so much more. I heard a rumor, and I got a copy ordered on the way, that you wrote a book?
I did. Right here. In fact, we're going to be rolling this out. Me and Drew Fortier, my co-writer on that. Rockstar Hitman is a fictional autobiography. I've written 2 autobiographies, nonfiction, which of course are my story. My Life with Death was published through Simon & Schuster back in 2013, and then More Life with Death, we published that last year, 2019, or 2009. God, it's already 21. So 2019, that came out, and then this one came out just back in December, right before Christmas. We pushed this out. So part of the Ellefson book company that we have our own, book publishing imprint now, and so Drew will be there as part of Ellefson Films. We have another little venture that I think we might talk about tonight. I think, right? Aren't we gonna?
Yeah, I was talking with the director of a film with Ellefson Films called Dwellers, and it's always great to see people producing indie horror. So I'd like to salute you for that.
Thank you.
We need, everybody watching this can agree, we need more indie horror films instead of this latest remake from the studios.
Yeah.
How did you get involved in this picture, and how?
Drew, so Drew Fortier, who co-wrote this book with me, he and I got connected, I guess, God, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, I guess, and he had played guitar in Bang Tango for a bit. He actually did a documentary film on them. He self-published his own autobiography memoir. And then out of nowhere, he was actually helping us with the EMP label group with my record company. And then out of nowhere, he came up with this film concept called Dwellers. And it's a story about in this small little kind of Midwest town, there's a report of a bunch of homeless people that go missing, that are living kind of underground, and they start to go missing. So Drew, in this film, he puts together a team of reporters to go report on the missing homeless people, and then some of them go missing in the process. So that's where the horror part of it comes in, and it's very compelling. Kind of a lost footage type of film, sort of like a Blair Witch genre, if you will. And so that's why when I saw that, I go, okay, this Drew guy's got a nice, sick, twisted mind. So when I started writing Rockstar Hitman, when I was on tour a year ago, I was in Brazil, and I started writing it. The idea came to me that a rock star by night, hitman by day. And, as he signs his record contract and has to work for his manager and his agent, and he, there's always this thing about signing record contracts, right? You've signed your life away, the deal with the devil, right? So I really made it the deal with the devil that he's got to do. He doesn't just get to, in order to be a rock star, yeah, here's your ticket to ride. You get to go straight to the top as a rock star. But during the day, we got some other work we need you to take care of too. So that's
talking about the ultimate 360 deal right there.
Yeah, well put, exactly. So Drew and I got, we got involved in a couple little ventures here. But yeah, so through my Ellefson Films imprint, we're putting out the Dwellers film. Through the Ellefson Book Company, we're doing Rockstar Hitman. So yeah, got a lot of nice little stuff going on here. So, and I see somebody's asking, Trey Smith is asking, is the Charlotte MMP going to happen in North Carolina? Yes.
Yeah, Carlos wants to thank you for coming to the last Mad Monster in Arizona.
Yep.
Brandon wanted to know, what's your favorite horror franchise?
Boy, I'm a little old school. Probably the first one that sometimes it's the first one you get introduced to, right? Like I'm a big Kiss fan because that was one of the first bands when I was 10, 11, 12 years old I heard. And so I'm still a big Kiss fan. I think probably the Friday the 13th franchise still lives on for me, just because I love, Jason and just everything about it. I go to a lot of horror cons as a celebrity. I appear there and stuff, so I get to know a lot of those people. The guy who wears the mask, and so it's fun to go down that road. Of course, now not horror related, but certainly in modern day, of course, is. Cobra Kai is now the new rave, and it's fun to meet. It's fun to meet your TV and cinema heroes. I got to do. Meeting Fonzie. Winkler. At a con in Texas, super cool, and we just talked about kids and his grandkids the whole time. So, that's, Barry, I love Barry on Netflix. That's cool. So, I love Netflix. Netflix, I spend a lot of time, especially now with the COVID stuff here, I spend a lot of time binge watching stuff. So, it's fun. The guy that plays, the star of, what the hell's the, I just lost his name. It was right at the tip of my tongue. I'll come back to it. But meeting Judge Reinholz, some of these guys, it's fun because they obviously know who we are because we're heavy metal rock stars. But they're the guys we grew up in the '80s watching them on their films and stuff growing up. So it's kind of a fun community doing these horror cons and doing Mad Monster here in Phoenix was great. It was nice, right down the street for me. I'm glad we did it. That's why we're doing this one tonight, was because I got introduced to the Mad Monster family through the one out here.
And we definitely appreciate you coming on. And for those with questions regarding Charlotte, we're going to let y'all know we're going to be actually premiering your film Dwellers at the Charlotte convention next month. And I know right now, I talked with the director, Drew, and he says that he's putting the finished touches on it. And I saw a little bit of a couple of clips. And if you like found footage type of horror movies, if you're a Chud fan, based on what I saw, it seems like to be the found footage version of Chud, which I love.
It's exactly that's exactly what Drew always likens it to, is to Chud. That is definitely you nailed it. That is it. Yes, and we Mad Monster Charlotte, you guys are kind enough to let us have a little center stage there and roll that out. And that's what I like. Look, especially writing this book, again, the same thing. I wrote a how-to music book called Making Music Your Business. That published back in 1997. And then, like I say, I wrote the 2 memoirs. and now I have my own fictional, novel series. And this is a series, the Sledge Chronicles. So as Sledge, our main character, the rock star, as he travels around the world, there's all sorts of great international espionage and great stuff we can write about, touring the world. And so it's good. It reads like a memoir. It reads like him telling his story. So you think you're reading a memoir, and then the slashing begins, So, I think between that
Ritchie movie, like you should call Guy Ritchie and be like, I got a book, you need to make it to a movie ASAP.
That's actually a good idea. That is a good idea. So, and that's kind of where screenplays come from, right? I mean, at some point, you kind of base it on a book or you base it on a novel or something. So yeah, I like it with Drew. We've got a lot of good, fun creativity going on here with all this stuff now.
Yeah. And I just got to ask, you mentioned that you wrote a book about the music business back in the 90s. What do you think? How do you think with the changes in the music business? Do you have any advice for people that are interested in getting into music business this day and age?
Well, look, it's funny. I was talking to a manager friend of mine who managed Megadeth back in the 90s, kind of around the turn of the decade there, 90s into the 2000s. And, he managed some big groups back in the 80s and the 90s and stuff. So, a guy that's, been in the business like myself a long time. And, it's changed. And I think that's the one thing is with all of the creative arts, even I saw, Netflix as I finished Cobra Kai 3 the other night, the Netflix after show party, even Ralph Macchio was talking about that, like a movie like that, you can do different things with it in a time like now when you've got a digital platform and you've got these other outlets like Netflix. You don't have to just go for the big blockbuster film. And I think the way he said that is certainly right on the money. And I think it's the same thing with being in the music business. You don't have to go for the big Grammy award-winning, drop the big bomb. I mean, we all want that. And I'm lucky enough that I got to get on that gravy train and be part of that narrative in my career. And Megadeth is, I see some people are asking, Megadeth album number 16. We're working on it now. Wow. Of course, as the world opens up and we can open up, the touring, we've got tours scheduled for 2021. If they can happen, we'll probably be releasing new music around that. So let me just address that question. But it's the same thing, artists. Look, Post Malone put something up on YouTube and, turned into Post Malone, Ghost, who are awesome. Probably the ultimate horrorcon band if there ever was one. He put something up on MySpace, and got traction and it turned into something. So, these digital platforms, years ago, me and Dave, when we started Megadeth, we had a little 3-song demo we circulated around to some magazines, a few radio stations, and it sort of kicked the dust and made some noise and got us our record deal. And, Metallica had done the same thing just prior to that. They had a demo called No Life Till Leather, which was most of the songs. It became the Metallica Kill 'Em All debut record, and Dave Mustaine played on that demo. And that demo went around, and that's what, again, magazines picked up on it. So those demos were the same version of what we do today on the internet, So, right. You put a song up. If people respond, hey, we might have something here. And I think what I always say is, if people respond, keep going. If they don't take it personally. Just take a different approach. Try something different. Wear a pig mask. I don't know. Do something.
I wish it was a mask. I'm just naturally this.
Yeah, I know. Some people, you're just born with good looks. What can you say? Yeah.
Hey, speaking, what other kind of music do you have coming out besides Megadeth? Because you got your hands in a lot of stuff.
I do. Last year I released the first Ellefson band. We released a record called Sleeping Giants. We toured that last year. And then this year we put out Ellefson No Cover, which is 18 cover songs. And this is kind of like the ultimate COVID quarantine jam record. It came about in June. The idea hit us to do it. And sorry, I'm talking a lot today, so my throat's getting scratchy here.
That's okay.
But we started putting. We just started spitballing some ideas of cover songs, everything from Motorhead to Queen to Kiss, Wasp, Judas Priest, and stuff that me and our singer Tom, grew up on, and so we put that record together and we put it out in November. And quite honestly, it was kind of a victory lap. It was kind of like we did something really good and positive. We got a lot of great guests on there, from Anthrax to Ministry to Slayer to Mark Slaughter and Jason McMaster, all these different guys. So we got a lot of different great guests on there. That it was kind of like we all came together last year in a time of crisis, and rather than just getting bummed out and going to our sitting at home and doing nothing, I feel like under the Ellefson name, we worked really hard, brought our community together. We made this record, and it was very well received. And it was just, it was kind of like I say, it was kind of like the light at the end of the tunnel of 2020.
Yeah, I really like. Have you ever thought of? Well, let me get to one of the questions I saw here, because there's so much, and I know you're limited on time. Chippy says, "I'm getting back into vinyl again. Do you guys think about doing any vinyl pressing of some of your music?"
We actually do have vinyl coming. We do print vinyl. Megadeth, of course, being on Universal Records, we always do some vinyl. Especially as part of the initial launch, that's kind of how vinyl works. You do one big run, it comes out. When it's gone, it's gone. But even with what we do with the Ellefson stuff, because we put that out through my own record label, through Combat Records. When we do that, we always print a vinyl run. Vinyl takes a little while, so it doesn't, unfortunately, often launch at the same exact time, because it can sometimes take 4 or 5, 6 months to get it. Yeah. Because, but there will be vinyl. In fact, I'll try to bring some to the con. I'll definitely bring some no cover CDs. I've got quite a few here, so I'll bring some of those.
Yeah, Brandon will say to bring some copies to the con.
Yeah, yep, exactly. I will do that. I'll bring some of those. I'll try to bring some vinyl.
He can't fly back with them. He's got to have them.
Got to get rid of them. Yeah, I mean, look, I bring a couple of stage-used basses with me. What I learned years ago at the cons, people are looking for different stuff, so I kind of bring the good, better, best. I bring everything from little guitar picks, because sometimes people just got $5 and they want to buy something kind of fun. And then, the CDs and the books, I usually bring some coffee. People like to buy coffee at the con. It's fun. And, again, some vinyl, I'll try to bring that. And then I bring, kind of a couple of big ticket items too, like the signature basses that I played on tour. And I'll bring some of those. And yep.
And now I got to ask, I mean, just because I'm probably never going to write a hit record, because I'm not a musician, and I'm probably never going to play bass in front of thousands of people. What is that like, getting on stage at the concert with all the fans yelling and screaming and cheering for you and hitting that tune and playing those songs?
I'm not going to lie, it's awesome. I think it's the thing that gets me out of bed every day. Even a day like today when I'm not on tour and I'm not in front of thousands of people, it's, doing this interaction. I'm very much fed by people. I like doing interviews. I like talking about our industry, our business, our music, our books, our creative journey. To me, that's all that I do in my life. I think when this bug kind of hit me to pick up the bass, which then led me down the roads to rock stardom, at age 11. I started putting bands together by age 12, and I was out gigging by, age 12, 13. So I've been doing this my whole life. And honestly, that was the goal. Like, I want to do this. Like, let's just figure out how to just do this, And so it's really been a fun journey for me, to be able to, again, started with playing and performing. And of course the crowds got bigger and bigger. And, so that's what's really it's been fun about it, is Megadeth. We got to enjoy some big success. And now we're a band that, I guess they call us a legacy band, if you will. Our songs are on classic rock radio now, which is cool, and it's funny, what I hear, young people drive the new music. That's just a fact. The young people drive, whether it's in pop, it's in hip hop, country, heavy metal, whatever. But, metal Metal's a little more like a Harley bike club. You know what I mean? It's like you can be of any age to be in heavy metal. You know, because as long as you got a Harley, you're in the club. You know, and as long as you like heavy music, you're in the club. You know, so you know, I've watched Megadeth over the years. You know, we've been around 37, going on 38 years now, and it's, you know, so that's almost 4 decades, right? So I see up in the front are the young people, because they're still willing to get crushed against the barricade and thrash and mosh and stage dive. And so, you know, then you back a little behind that, there's the kind of the next generation, and then sitting in the seats is the next generation, and then up at the top at the nosebleed are, you know, are the first generation, who are now kind of the, you know, they get to sit in the back and enjoy the show and not be down in the pit. They're also the ones that, you know, buy the meet and greet packages and the VIP and all that stuff. You know, they're a little older. They've got money to spend, kind of like people that come to the conventions. You know, they come wanting to take home a piece of their favorite icons and heroes. You know.
Yeah, the last show I went to before the pandemic hit was actually a Snoop Dogg show. Before that, I saw Marilyn Manson and Slipknot. Had you ever thought about collaborating with the hip hop artists? Do like a hip hop crossover?
It's funny you say that, because we covered a Post Malone song called "Over Now."
No, we're not playing Post Malone. I'm talking about like 50 Cent, somebody.
Well, you know, it's funny. You know, Ice-T has been a good friend of Megadeth.
Yes.
You know, I know Dave he performed a solo, I think, on the latest Body Count record. Ice has been a good friend to us, and you know, so there's been some. It's funny. We used to use, what was his intro tape? It was we used it as an intro tape. It was the Sabbath song, "Bow, no, no," right? And then and he had Jello Biafra doing the intro. You know, shut up, go home. You know, he was like, basically it was like a martial law. I forgot the title of the track, but so, you know, as much as Megadeth and Ice-T haven't necessarily collaborated directly on that, we've been around it, you know, and again, I think, you know, us covering the Post Malone song was very much Post didn't sing on it, but that's a song that Tommy.
Because when that Ozzy song came out, and everybody was like, all the young people that didn't know who Ozzy was like,
yeah,
who's Post Malone? I was like, really? Y'all didn't know.
Well, here's the thing. I know. Well, Post is a cool guy, man. Look, he's a real musician. He's a real fan. He, as much as obviously, you know, hip hop and that has made him his name. He's a really clever artist, and he's got a big Megadeth tattoo on his elbow, so he's a total metalhead. Yeah, and so when we covered that song, you know, we sent it over to him, and he, you know, he hit us back, and he was like, "Wow, well done," you know, and it blew up. It was cool. It really gave a good look to you know, to just how, you know, just it was interesting, because usually when a guy like me would do a cover, we would go back in time and grab a song from when I was a kid, you know, like what this was, no cover. These are all songs of us growing up that on. What's interesting about doing the Post Malone song is we took a very current artist today, not a metal guy, and we brought that right over the line into the heavy metal world. And it was cool. I thought it was, I liked it. I thought it was just a very unique way to, you know, to do something very not traditional of a metal guy, you know, to do something like that, you know. But I think we pulled it off, and we did it in a respectful way that the metalheads liked it. Post and his camp were very appreciative of it. So I think we hit a home run on that one.
Yeah, Liz here says, I thought I was going to hate Post, but ended up really liking him. I think he's one of those artists that grow on you, because I remember when he was definitely one of those guys that started out on SoundCloud and became really successful. And I think it proves what you were saying: create music, put it out there. I do the same thing with horror content. Create, if you get traction, change it up. And I think at the end of the day, that's what we all got to do, is is create, create, create.
Yeah, and I agree with Liz Ann. It's a Post has a very cool, unique sound, and honestly, I think that is more important to me than almost anything as a fan. I was driving around today with my son and my daughter, and my daughter's 22, and she's got a really cool, chill playlist, of everything from Miley Cyrus to Ariana Grande, and that genre, which would be certainly a Post Malone kind of genre and everything. And and so it's funny by listening to the music, especially that she listens to, because my son, who's 24, is actually he's kind of an old soul. He listens to everything. He listens to stuff I grew up on, AC/DC to Iron Maiden to Gordon Lightfoot. So he listens to the stuff I grew up on. But even he reminds me of things, Cats in the Cradle and, different things that I was like, God, that's right. I remember that song. But listening to my kids' music, it keeps me plugged into all of it, and today was kind of a little music study of stuff that my daughter was listening to. Because, when I'm a musician, like I am, I don't just hear music. To me, music is not a background. To me, music is always a foreground. In fact, when the music's going on, everybody shut up, stop talking, let's pay attention to music. Some people, like my wife, will get in the car, she puts on music, and then we start a conversation. To her, it's just a background, right? To me, I'm like, look, either we're talking or we're listening. We can't do both, I can't do this thing, right? I'd rather either let's have a conversation or let's really dial in on the tunes, So, that's just, I think, how my brain, and if it's not interesting music, turn it off. Let's not waste what we have left of our eardrums. Let's not waste it on bad music,
Yeah, my playlist is, I'd have to have people. If you saw my playlist, I'd have multi-personality disorder. I got everything from the Doors to the Grateful Dead, of course, Megadeth, Nirvana, Alice in Chains, Pantera. And actually, it was funny because I called a buddy of mine 2 days ago to confirm this, because I never like to tell a story until I confirm it. But it's actually a funny Megadeth story. Back in the 90s, I was in the Marines. And we used to have a tape that we would play that had a playlist. And it was kind of like music can help you, especially if you're a professional military person, get in the mindset to stay alive when they drop you off on the beach of a foreign country. And one of our songs on there was Symphony of Destruction, followed up by Pantera, Walk. And that was just like an excellent combo to get you in the correct mindset to protect yourself when need be.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for your service to our country. First of all, that's first and foremost. Second of all, I've heard that a lot, and thank you for that. I remember meet and greets. Fans would come up to us and they would tell us that same story. Hey, man, I served in Iraq War. Hey, I was in the Gulf War. We'd turn on Holy Wars as we're going in. It was you and Slayer and Metallica and Pantera, and you guys basically gave us the will to fight the fight we had to fight and got us back home. So it's funny that that music that we created could be put to good use. I guess first and foremost, we're thankful for that. And it's it's interesting. I remember when we were on tour with Judas Priest. This was back in 1990, and the Gulf War was breaking out, and we were. I'll never forget. We were in Dayton, Ohio, sitting in the buses. The buses were kind of inside the arena, and we had to go on stage, and we were watching CNN, and I think like Wolf Blitzer's there, of course, on the top of the Hilton Hotel there in Tel Aviv, where I've since stayed in the 90s when we went there on tour. And the first Scud missiles fired, and we had someone giving us the report when we were on stage playing our set. We were the support act for Judas Priest on the Painkiller tour. And so this was the Rest in Peace tour for us. We were playing Holy Wars and all that stuff. And I remember, we had someone going back trying to check in the news, and Dave would say from the stage, man, we just launched our first Scud missile, and this song's called Holy Wars, and everybody erupted, so, even from over here, Dave is really big on that, supporting the troops and, from as the lead singer position, not being shy about that at all, being very outspoken and vocal. And, so it's again, thank you for your service. And I'm glad we could provide a bit of the soundtrack for you guys when you had to go do what you had to do.
Yeah. When you talk about concerts, what's one of the most memorable concerts that you've ever attended or played?
Well, look, feels like the first time, right? So it's always the first one. The first Kiss is the best. And so in my case, my first Kiss show back in 1977, February 6th, I saw Kiss play on the Rock and Roll Over Tour at the Met Center up in Bloomington, Minnesota, which is Minneapolis. It's basically the Met Center used to be where now is Mall of America. And it was great to see them play there. I did go to see a couple of other shows there in my teen years. And then it was a real highlight for me when I came through with Megadeth. We opened for Ronnie James Dio in 1988 there. We were on a tour, and then we also did some dates opening up for Iron Maiden at that same venue. So it was cool, for me. That was those are some highlight moments, when you get to, I was going, man, I used to come and see, Kiss and my favorite bands play here. Now I'm playing here. And that was, kind of one of those call home to mom moments, where it's like, look, Mom, I made it, So I gotten to do a lot of that kind of stuff. But, and then I guess some other ones, I saw a band called Angel. They were also on Casablanca Records. They were kind of like the Kiss wore black, Angel wore white. It's kind of they had the kind of shtick like that. But and then in recent years, look, seeing Iron Maiden when we were on tour. I saw Iron Maiden actually at the Met Center. I saw them there as Girls' School, Iron Maiden on Number of the Beast, and Scorpions on the Blackout album. So that was pretty legendary for me. Out in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, a little closer to where I grew up in Jackson, Minnesota. Seeing AC/DC with Bon Scott open for Cheap Trick. That was, whatever that was, 1980 or something, 79, 80. And then, seeing Rush there, Van Halen came through there on the Women and Children First, which was the 1980 Invasion. So, yeah, I got a lot of good concert experiences in. It was cool.
It was funny when you mentioned Kiss. The first time I ever heard of Kiss was a TV evangelist holding up a Kiss album. And he was saying, if you listen to this, you will be demon possessed. Yeah. So, of course, as a young kid, I'm like, I got to listen to this and see what type of music.
Yeah. And let's hope so. I mean, come on.
I was like, I don't feel any different.
Well, you remember they used to call them Knights in Satan's Service, you know what I mean? So, that's, and it's funny because John Five, who is the guitar player for Rob Zombie, a wonderful ghoul in and of himself and a fantastic guitar player, he has a Instagram account called Knights in Satan's Service. And he puts up this awesome Kiss memorabilia that he's got. So, yeah, I remember those guys. They were always coming around. Remember the Peters brothers? That's what they're called. They came through. They're from, I think, St. Paul, or they started this whole record burning crusade. And I remember
at least they bought them.
Yeah, you got to buy them before you can burn them. You know what I mean? So whatever. That's a sound scan right there, right?
Hey, Scott had a question. Said, "Are you actually going to be selling some of your bass guitars at the show?"
I am. I have I usually try to bring at least one, sometimes two of my signature basses to the the things that I played on stage and or recorded with. So I usually try to bring a couple of those. There's usually somebody likes to take home kind of a big ticket item like that. And so yeah, I'll have those. I'll have books, CDs, pictures. All the stuff.
Now, Vicky wanted to know, would you ever want your kids to do what you've done to get into music?
My thing with my kids is follow your own dream. I was very lucky that my parents let me follow my passion and my dream. I grew up on a farm in Minnesota. That farm's been in the Ellefson family since the late 1800s when they migrated over from Norway. So I come from a long line of agricultural farmers, cattle sellers, that whole industry, through the 20th century. So I was really lucky that when, I got the bug for, music and, playing the bass, that my parents let me pursue that. And I was serious about it. I wasn't just being lazy and didn't want to get a job. So I think I'll smoke dope and play the bass. You know what I mean? It was like, I was dedicated to it. I put the time in, I got good at my craft. I showed my, family that I was serious about this, even though they didn't really care for some of the music that I played. They at least knew that it was my passion. So, I moved to Hollywood in 1983, right after I graduated high school, and I pursued that, professionally as an adult. So what I've seen with my kids is, my daughter is incredibly musically gifted. She's got perfect pitch. She writes great. She can produce. She's an amazing singer. She's got a lovely, pretty, beautiful voice.
Does she have an album out?
She doesn't, and I'd like to put one out for her, but right now she's finishing her nursing degree at ASU here in Phoenix, so she's dedicated to being a nurse. And again, that's pretty intense. So I want her to get that done and get graduated. But I told her, she was thinking about maybe moving to Nashville. She's going to start looking around at obviously jobs in about 3-4 months when she graduates from her final studies. And and I told her, I said, look, that music gift is going to keep knocking on you, and you're going to have to let it out, whether you're singing in church, you're writing songs with people, or you're just sitting down at the piano from time to time riffing some ideas. It's like you're going to have to get that's a God-given gift, and anything that God gives you is meant for good, and you have to use it. You have to tap that. And it's same with me. I mean, like today I picked the bass up right behind me here. I swivel around, and funny, I've got a couple of bass player magazines here, and sometimes I'll open up in the back. They've got these little lessons, and I can sight read music. So I'll sit down and I'll just study difficult things just for challenging. And today the bug hit me. I go, boy, I could be stuck here all day doing this if I didn't have some place to go, to get out the door this morning. So I love it. It still hits me too, in that same way. If I walk away from it for a few days, I'm good. But as soon as I come back and I pick the bass up and I start playing, or a guitar, or I start scratching a lyric idea down. Same thing with the book. When I start writing, it gets going. And
I'm the same way. It's like once I can get the beginning or get started, it's like I don't want to stop. You got to get it out.
Yeah, exactly. So
since your daughters get saved, to see y'all two do an album together as a parent, that would be an awesome experience.
That's actually a great idea. That's actually a really good idea. Maybe that's something we'll have to do here before too long. My son, it's funny, my son, he is like, if you need a fact of anything, he's the guy. And he actually worked for one of the concert promoters here in town a couple years ago. So he got really networked into, kind of the business side of our business, which is awesome. So it's really nice that, so again, my thing is let my kids follow their path. Their path doesn't have to be my path. And if they want to go, they can do it. They can go fish salmon up in Sweden for all I care, whatever there's in their heart, that's what they should go do,
And I think that's amazing when parents tell kids that you can become or do anything you want as long as you set your mind to it. And I think more people need to encourage kids that, hey, you don't have any limitations. You can go and do anything.
Yeah, my son right now is actually helping me run the coffee company, the Ellefson Coffee Company. So he does a lot of the fulfillment and supply chain stuff and accounting and all that stuff. So he's got an MBA in business. So I said, hey, you may as well help Pops run the family business here, So it's nice that he's doing that. So it is cool. It's a
superb job on that. I want to show it again. I mean, I don't do no paid promotions. If I like something, I tell everybody I like it.
Nice.
This is amazing coffee, and I'm a coffee snob. Like I will buy coffee, and if it's not good, I'm just do a food
Good stuff.
cake or something. But this is.
Well, I appreciate it. Well, I'll bring some to the con. Well, look, I got to get jumping here, but thanks for having me on tonight. And hello, everybody. Thanks for your questions. And yeah, so it's game on. February 19, 2021. We're going to be there. I'll have the book. We'll be bringing out the Dwellers film that Drew did through the Ellefson Films Company. We're premiering it there, so that'll be fun. And then from there, hey, we'll hang out for the weekend, and we'll bring coffee and bassist books and stuff. So
sounds like a great time. I appreciate you spending your time with us. You have a great evening.
All right, see ya. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Hey, I appreciate everybody hanging on. And busy rock star like that. It's amazing to have a guest like that on the show. Some of you were asking about the Ellefson coffee. Just Google Ellefson coffee. I'll put that up there. I mean, it's good. I mean, coffee and horror movies. I can't get my camera right. There you go. Just Google that. It is amazing coffee. Amazing. And Scott, you better jump on it if you want one of them bass guitars. That would be crazy. I could not imagine having a piece of memorabilia like that in my home. A freaking bass that the basses from Megadeth actually played on stage. That is crazy. And Tuesday we're dropping the next podcast for Mad Monster. It's on Spotify, it's on Google Podcast, it's on Anchor FM, and we're gonna have the director Drew from Dwellers on there. He's busy working on the post-production of the film right now. I love a good found footage horror movie. I really do. It's just one of those things. Roast in peace. That's amazing. I like that. It's just something. What have you guys? I'm going to stay on for a few more minutes. What have you guys been up to this week? What have you been watching besides the news? I've been staying away from the news. But what have y'all been watching? Scott says, hey. Liz says, I want a Korn K7 guitar. And Courtney, how about it? Courtney says, your camera quality is amazing. Thank you. What is my favorite found footage film? Okay, Poughkeepsie Tapes is my favorite. Poughkeepsie Tapes, of course, Blair Witch. Blair Witch is good as a found footage movie, like, hey, we found this footage. But the Poughkeepsie Tapes is like a mockumentary, and I love the backstory behind it. The director, who also did the movie Devil, I can't think of his name right now, him and his brother directed, produced together. They made a fake documentary. MGM bought it. I think it was MGM bought it and didn't know what to do with it. So I like that one. This Dwellers looks promising. I haven't seen, besides Spree, a decent found footage movie in a while. I think a lot of times the studios try to make found footage, and I think found footage is really done well when it's done lower budget with indie filmmakers. And when I say lower budget, not just cheap, but when you don't have a studio trying to recreate found footage with $20,000 cameras. There's nothing more crazy as if you watch the behind the scenes of the Blair Witch reboot that didn't do well, and they're trying to simulate GoPro footage with daggone Reds, which are $20,000-$30,000 cameras. Robin says, just kicking back, drinking a beer. Jimmy says, just got Dark Side of the Moon on vinyl. Also picked up Abbey Road. Jed Steve said, just got the Willie Jeffrey box set, started going through that. Steve says, I need to check out Spree. Yes, you do. I think it's on Hulu now. Liz says, not found footage, but such a great movie. It's scary because it's a real situation. Matt said, printed T-shirts, watching old school flicks, Universal Monsters, Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. That's a funny one. You sucks been spending our big stimulus check and waiting for to watch your show. I appreciate that. You should at least be able to get some pizza from a stimulus check, baby. Says I can't. He's the possessor. I got Fire Stick and watched season 1 of Bewitched from 1964. Needed something retro. Funny how it was rated as having drug use. Not sure what that was. Cocktails. I've been watching The Killing. I've been delayed on getting out and watching The Killing. It's a good show. It's like season 1. I was hoping to find out who the killer was, and then you got to wait until season 2. So I'm on season 2 of that. Steve said we should film a found footage movie at Mad Monster. It's possible. The last go round in Charlotte, they had somebody was filming a movie there. One of those guys from the Greasy Strangler. It was. It's something. It says you're on Twitch. I can't find you. Nah, I'm here on YouTube and Facebook. You kind of get lost in the mix if you try to do too much. I'd rather do Facebook and YouTube good, hopefully good, than to get on Twitch sometimes. It's like every time you get 4 or 5 platforms, it's hard to keep up with them all. Abbott and Costello meet Boris Karloff. That's my fave. Yeah, those classics like that, and that's what I was mentioning in the last podcast. Is I hate how they did The Invisible Man and they're doing these remakes and saying they're universal monsters, and they're not. You know, they're you can't mess with the classics like that. You can't mess with the classics. It's just you can't do it. But I'm going to head on out of here. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Oh, what's the worst horror movie that you've seen? The worst horror movie that I've seen is Cabin Fever with Eli Roth, the very first one. That was one of the ones they remade that movie like 3 times. Steve says he wants to have a beer with me. Heck yeah, we're going to party like it ain't COVID. Nah, we're going to party like it's 19. What is it, Prince on? Like it's 1999. Liz says Cloverfield was one of the worst ones she's seen. That was way too shaky than what it needed to be. The original cut of the original Blair Witch was super shaky, but they spent a little bit of money fixing that. But I appreciate you guys tuning in, asking me questions, hanging out. Be sure to follow the page and so that you can see us on our next live feeds, videos that come up. Y'all take care. Stay safe out there and keep watching more horror movies. Special thanks to David Ellefson for taking time out of his busy day to come on here. So excited about hanging out with him. Y'all guys have a great day. Stay safe. Sergeant Horror for Mad Monster. I'm out.